Good salespeople can survive bad systems for a long time. That's what makes this conversation uncomfortable. For years, the industry script has sounded the same. More calls, more hustle, more grind, more discipline. And to be clear, hard work matters. But there's a dangerous moment in every disrupted industry when effort becomes a distraction from reality. Because eventually the environment changes so dramatically that rowing harder stops helping. And that's where real estate is right now. The river changed. The internet changed it. Transparency changed it. AI changed it. Consumer expectations changed it. But the coaching script never changed. Why? Because if the industry admits the economics changed, then the entire commission structure has to be questioned. And once that happens, the business model built around defending that structure starts collapsing with it. This is Steve Koleno, and this is Confidential Remarks. There used to be a reason commissions stayed high. Agents controlled access to information. Listings were scarce. Pricing data was fragmented. Contracts were opaque. Consumers needed gatekeepers because the gate actually existed. But then the gate disappeared. Consumers can now access listings instantly. They can compare pricing in seconds. AI can summarize contracts, analyze markets, and surface negotiation insights faster than most teams. The monopoly collapsed. But listen carefully to the coaching industry response. Not adapt the business model. Not compress margins and scale infrastructure. Not use technology to deliver more value at lower cost. No, the message became work harder. That's not adaptation. That's denial. And when an entire industry refuses to acknowledge the structural shift happening underneath it, disruption becomes inevitable. Here's the part nobody says out loud. A coach's income is tied directly to the survival of high commissions. That is not an accusation. It's math. If agent commissions shrink, coaching revenue shrinks with them. The ecosystem contracts together. So when coaches tell agents to defend the old structure at all costs, they are not speaking from neutrality. They are protecting the engine that feeds them. Again, that does not make them evil, but it does make the silence predictable. Because once the industry starts asking, what should this actually cost in a transparent market? The entire conversation changes, and suddenly hustle culture becomes economically necessary. Not strategically correct, economically necessary. Do more. It sounds empowering. That's why it works so well. It's infinitely renewable advice. If you succeed, the system takes credit. If you fail, you didn't grind hard enough. That makes the model unfalsifiable. And from a business standpoint, it's genius, because the customer never reaches completion. There is always another call to make, another mindset upgrade, another accountability program, another subscription. Motion becomes the product, but here's the problem. An industry built entirely on increasing human effort eventually collides with technology built to eliminate unnecessary human effort. And history tells us who wins that fight. The industry keeps talking about commissions as though they were earned purely through labor, but historically, that's not what the 3% represented. It represented access. Access to listings, access to information, access to distribution, access to market visibility. That made sense in 1995. But every layer of technological progress eroded the justification for the toll. The internet weakened it. Zillow accelerated it. AI may finish it. And once consumers realized the pricing structure was based on scarcity that no longer exists, pressure becomes unavoidable. This is what disruption always looks like. The margin compresses. The infrastructure scales. The incumbents resist. And eventually the market reprices reality. Now let's be fair. This presentation is not arguing that agents provide no value. They absolutely do. Judgment matters. Trust matters. Liability matters. Consumers still need advisors during high-stakes financial decisions. But here's the distinction. Valuable does not automatically mean infinitely priced. The market is not questioning whether agents matter. The market is questioning whether the old pricing stack still matches the modern cost structure. And those are two very different conversations. The future agent is not eliminated. The future agent is leveraged. The winners will build systems that allow one trusted advisor to serve dramatically more clients at dramatically lower operational cost. That's the shift. We've seen this movie before. Stock trading, retail, asset management, travel, media. Every one of these industries defended high margins right before technology compressed them. And the winners were almost never the incumbents protecting the old economics. The winners were the companies that accepted margin compression early and built scale around it. Robinhood didn't defend $50 trades. Amazon didn't defend department store markup. Index funds didn't defend 2% management fees. They rebuilt the infrastructure. That is the actual historical pattern, which means the question is no longer whether real estate changes. The question is who accepts reality first. Think about how strange this is. Every comparable industry responded to disruption by lowering friction, building infrastructure, and improving efficiency. Real estate coaching responded by increasing effort requirements. That's backwards. When technology lowers the cost of information, you do not respond by demanding more manual labor. You redesign the model. But the current system cannot afford to say that out loud. Because once agents realize the future is leverage, not hustle, the old doctrine loses power instantly. And that is why the industry keeps prescribing effort where architecture is required. Now, to Steelman the other side. The coaches are correct about one thing. If an agent is operating entirely as solo labor, lowering commissions can absolutely reduce service quality. Because without systems, every dollar cut comes directly out of human effort. That part is true. But that is precisely why the future belongs to infrastructure. AI, automation, operational systems, scalable workflows. The answer was never work infinitely harder. The answer was build a machine strong enough that the customer gets better outcomes at lower cost. That is how every modern scalable industry evolved. Some coaching absolutely helps agents improve. That's true. Some mentors genuinely care about outcomes. That's also true. And yes, activity matters, especially early in a career. But tactical truths do not erase structural incentives. That's the key distinction. The existence of good individuals does not invalidate the broader economic pattern. And the broader pattern is clear. The industry overwhelmingly teaches labor optimization while avoiding structural redesign, because structural redesign threatens the economics of the existing system. That silence is not random. It is load-bearing. So what replaces the old model? 3 things. First, systems. Build infrastructure that automates pricing analysis, transaction management, marketing workflows, and client communication. Second, scalable trust. The advisor still matters, but now one advisor can serve far more people with greater consistency and lower friction. And third, aligned incentives. Compensation shifts toward measurable outcomes, transparency and client value, not legacy percentages protected by tradition. That is the index fund play. Lower friction, lower margin, higher scale, better consumer alignment. And once consumers experience that model at scale, there is no going backward. The coaching industry is not the villain. The incentives are, because people protect the systems that feed them. That's human nature. But markets do not care about nostalgia. They care about efficiency, transparency, alignment, value. And eventually, every industry gets forced to answer the same question. What does the customer actually need? At what price? Delivered through what infrastructure? That question is now arriving in real estate. The river changed. And the people who recognize it early will not just survive this transition. They will own it. This has been Confidential Remarks.